everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And today is very fun. In honor of Hitman, we are talking about Netflix rom-coms, which have a bit of a bad reputation, but there's some good ones out there. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner. And of course, I had to have Austin Burke on here to talk about this.
I'm the Netflix guy.
Yeah,
I
you're the
watch
Netflix king. That's what I
everything.
was going to say.
And I mean to the point of this guy is insane. But you know what, Rachel? I had a lot of rom-coms to add to my letterbox list to talk about this. So I'm very excited. And there's some sleeper movies here. There
Yeah,
are some films
there really
that
are.
cracked like my top 10 of those respective years. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for this.
There's even, I have a couple, or at least I think two that aren't on your list in my top 10
Mhm.
that I hope you'll check out and that you'll, and vice
Yes.
versa, So, well, let's talk about our best. Well, so some of these are a little bit of a stretch, I'll be honest, but my number 10 is I am a huge apologist for musicals. If it's got
Okay.
music in it, it's going to get a tick up,
Sure.
And there's some bad ones. Obviously, Diana the musical, if you consider that a rom-com, woo, on Netflix.
Mhm.
That was terrible. But anyway, I know The Prom is not perfect, but I think
Oh,
that it has enough catchy songs. I think that it's got a big enough heart to it that I enjoyed it. And even in the stage musical, I don't really know why they even have the celebrities. I think it's kind of a distraction from the core of the teen and her journey, and I kind of just wish it
yeah.
was about her. But I still think it overall has some catchy songs. It's overall enjoyable.
Mhm.
I had a fun enough time with it. That's my
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of The Prom. If it
yeah.
And I used to say, well, I'm just not the biggest musical fan. That's a lie because I have some of the recent musicals I've watched in like my top movies of all time. So that's a lie. But yeah, this was an example of everything that I don't like about musicals.
Yeah.
It's just unmemorable. I don't really remember any of the songs. I thought it kind of looked cheap. And
Yeah.
James Corden, man, James Corden.
I don't know
Ah,
why
boy.
I have no idea why they did that, but it's hard for me to
I
not at least get some enjoyment out of Meryl Streep and Nicole Kidman and like singing
That's
and
what
trying
works
to
for me.
help this young girl get her confidence back. And
Yes, absolutely.
so, yeah, it was
It's a
okay.
sweet story, and I could actually see the because I've only seen the movie version. I could
Yeah.
see it working in a different way,
Yeah.
and I
And
do
I'm
like
really
seeing Meryl
excited
Streep in it.
too because I think it's going to be a popular show for high schools to do. This
Yes,
this
yes,
show, and like if anybody, the thing that's kind of fun is that if anybody puts a stink about it, they're just like the characters in the show. So like,
uh-huh.
you know what I mean? Like they can't really. And I love uh the whole song about the what the Bible says, thou shalt love thy neighbor,
Oh
love thy
yeah,
neighbor. That is a
yeah,
great song,
yeah. That was
and I
good.
think
I like
the
that one.
best song in the show. But anyway, what do you have at 10?
So mine is a movie called Alex Strangelove,
Yeah, I need to
and
see this. I've never seen it.
it was a really sweet film. It's about a guy who's on the quest to lose his virginity, but then he kind of falls for this other guy, and I believe his name was Elliot, but he's very confused on what he is feeling, and it's it's a very genuine script. I think there are some issues with it. There are some
Mm.
really hardcore conventions that it falls into, but it's a very genuine and earnest script because it almost reminds me of, and really the comparisons that I'm making here, I mean, they're not really high school love stories, but this takes that high schoolish love story and twists it on its head and gives him this conflict that you're just, but his main quest at the beginning of the movie is to lose his virginity. So it's like, do I take the easy route or do I fall into what my emotions and my body is telling me that I actually feel? And so you're in his head throughout the entire film, and you really fall in love with this chemistry that he has with this guy, and that relationship is something that, yeah, you can kind of see where it's going a mile away, but that relationship is something that gives you some really nice moments. And so I liked the cast. I really liked where we ended up with the character. And when you get that, when the movie ends and you're like, I feel this. Like I'm connected. I feel this. There's a spark, and you really get some payoff towards the end. I liked Alex Strangelove. I thought it was solid. I do think it had some pacing issues, but overall, I remember having it, as one of those. Here's a surprise on Netflix this year type
Yeah.
of list. It was sweet. It was a very sweet movie.
Well, my number 9 is a little movie that kind of flew under the radar called Look Both Ways. And this
Oh,
stars
okay.
Lily Reinhart, and it's kind of a sliding doors type of thing, where you see how her life could have taken one path or another path, and is she going to end up with the same guy at the end?
Okay.
That's her destined guy, and the big thing is she is the big split off is one
Mm.
she finds out she's pregnant, one it's negative. So she starts out, looking at this test and then what's
Okay.
going to happen to her life. And yeah, I think that it is hard in these kinds of sliding door stories to not feel like, boy, one side is way better than the other side. Um, and I don't know if really, like, yes, having a baby obviously is going to change your life, as you've seen. But like, I feel like you could still do a lot in life, and it doesn't, like, you can still
Oh yeah.
be an
Oh yeah.
actress, and you can still, like, I don't know if it has to be necessarily as divergent as it is, but
Yes.
nevertheless, the gimmick worked well enough to me, and I think Lily is good, and Danny Ramirez, oh, he's a beautiful, beautiful man, and David Cornswit is in it. If you want to see
Oh,
the new
nice.
Superman,
He's
so
been in some
yeah,
rom-coms.
it's a
Yeah.
fun little movie. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll have to
so
check that out. That sounds I like Corn Sweat. There was a movie this year that he was in. Kind of a
yeah,
romantic type
hmm
of the time travel one on Hulu. That
yeah,
was a sweet film. But yeah, that sounds like a good one.
yeah.
My next movie is Someone Great. It stars Gina Rodriguez, Brittany
I haven't
Snow,
seen that one.
who I really like. And
Uh-huh.
it's this group of three, and DeWanda Wise. It's this group of three, and she's been with this guy for forever. He calls it quits, and so they kind of want to give her a night out, a night she won't forget. And it really is. So I guess it's less of a romantic comedy in that way, but it's more about finding yourself when you've been locked in for so long. And through finding
Huh.
herself, she's able to kind of start a new path, which was, I don't want to spoil it, I don't want to give it away,
Yeah,
but I love it's this is the chemistry
yeah.
between these three friends was just like knock out of the park. Um, it it struggles to find its story at points. It's kind of like, what are we going to do next? Where are we going to go next? Kind of thing. So that's where I kind of found fault in it. But these three are amazing. I loved Rodriguez in this. She thrived as a lead character, and overall, I had a good time with it. It's a good, different type of romantic comedy, but
I need to
the
see that.
comedy is actually
Yeah.
pretty good in it as well.
Well, my number 8, I just have all of the Princess Switch movies next.
Okay, Princess.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I really enjoy them. I think that Vanessa Hudgens is a good comedic actress. These lean into the camp, they lean into the silliness,
Hmm.
especially by the end when she's like basically playing Cruella de Vil, and she's so over the top and funny. Her like cousin, the characters, there's like now 3 that look the same, and which is ridiculous and hilarious, and and the guys are all real dishy, and it's just a fun, campy, silly, good time.
Yeah, I haven't watched the sequels. I thought the first one was, you know, it's fine,
It
but
was funny.
I do like Vanessa Hudgens. I think she's
Yeah.
great. I was a big High School Musical fan growing up, Rachel.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, these are not trying to be like realistic, or I mean, they're
uh-huh.
very silly, and I guess I appreciate
Yes.
them for that. These are like very, very ridiculous. So I have fun with it. Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women, by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies. What do you have next?
My next one is the third movie in the To All the Boys franchise.
Okay.
I don't have the second movie.
Them all together.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I don't have the second movie in my top 10 because I think the second movie took a step down in quality, to be honest with you.
I didn't mind it as much as others, but you really didn't need the love triangle. There was no need,
no.
And they didn't really do anything interesting with that. And so, she should just be with Peter. I mean, that's who she's obviously supposed to be with. And so it's just like an exercise in futility, this other person.
Yeah, it was almost like we have to have let's think of an idea. And I know they're based on, but let's think of an idea for a second movie. What can we do? I think the third movie kind of turns it around, to be honest with you. Lana Condor is an amazing lead in these films. Such
amazing chemistry.
They do.
I love them so much.
And it's senior year, so it's all building to this. And I just like the finality in this movie. So I have the third one in the next spot.
It's very difficult to do sequels for rom-coms because the couple's together. What do you do next? And so a lot of times the big thing is you can either have them break up, which sucks, or you can have them get married or have a baby. And obviously you can't do that with high school, but that's typically the choices that you have. And usually those suck. And so because wedding movies are usually terrible, people complaining about stuff that they shouldn't be complaining about. There's conflict that shouldn't exist. They just you end up disliking your lead character. Like that's the secret surprise, is the wedding movies are actually not romantic almost never. There's a few exceptions with My Big Fat Greek Wedding, or there's a few ones that manage to survive, but most wedding rom-coms are terrible. And you just end up hating the lead characters. And you're like, you've got this privilege of finding somebody who loves you, and you're going to throw it away because of stupid wedding. And it just, good way to put it. Yeah, it's just terrible. So anyway, it just makes it almost impossible to do a good rom-com sequel. That's why I'm really nervous about Red, White, and Royal Blue too. I'm like,
Yep. What do they do next?
But next for me is a little movie called Wedding Season. And this was just cute. I mean, it's very formula, but I really love both the leads and, all this pressure to get married. So they decided to basically fake date, which is so fun, and go to all these weddings together and tell everybody they're dating. And of course, then they fall for each other while they're fake dating. And it's just cute. It's a cute, fun little movie.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that. Wasn't that one maybe number one for a little bit too?
Probably.
On Netflix? I think that one was.
Very, very, of course, very attractive leads, and nice to have all of these incredibly elaborate Indian weddings. That's so I was criticizing wedding movies, but here's one that they actually made. It worked. Like Wedding Season. That one's good. Example. It's not about the couple and their conflict in planning their wedding. This is about people have to go to attend all these weddings, and so it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
My next one is called The Incredible Jessica James. Have you seen this one, Rachel?
I haven't.
She Jessica Williams plays our lead, and she's going through a bad breakup. She gets on a dating app and goes on a blind date with Chris O'Dowd, and Chris O'Dowd is so funny.
I like him.
Love his comedic timing. He is awesome. This has a very dry type of humor to it because when they first meet, it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
He's like some kind of tech guy. He's been through a divorce. They're like complete opposites. I have to
see this because have you ever seen Juliet Naked? You ever seen that?
Yes. That's where I think I discovered Chris O'Dowd through that movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's so good because like that character you should hate him, but he brings
Yes.
humanity to the role. And so I'll have to see this because I do really like him a lot.
He plays a very similar character with that same type of dryness to him, but man, the way that they like change each other's perspective on things was
Yeah.
so fun. I just really enjoyed this. A very good time. Very good time. Yeah.
Cool. I'll definitely check that out. Next up for me is Love at First Sight. This was from last year. I really enjoyed it. I really do like Haley Lou Richardson. She is such a warm and great presence on screen, I think. And
Okay.
this Ben Hardy, they have like meet cute on a plane. She's going over to England for her dad's wedding. He's going for basically his mom's early funeral. Like they're doing like a celebration of life or whatever. And they just start talking and have this connection, and it is very conventional, but they have great chemistry. It's well written, good script. You're rooting for both characters,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I think I missed that one, but I heard a lot of people talk about how good it was. So
it's cute. It's cute.
I'm interested in that one.
So what do you have next?
So my next one is called Love Hard, and I think this came out a couple of years ago.
Wasn't that the pandemic? Didn't that come out
Yes.
in 2020?
Yeah. It was the Nina Dobrev film.
I know a lot of people that love this one, and I understand why. It can be very cute. I just couldn't get over the premise. She's like catfished.
Really?
It was too much for me. But I was just like, I can't imagine ever falling for somebody that had done that to you. I just couldn't go where the movie wanted me to go. But I do know a lot of people that loved it.
Yeah, I like this one. I thought it was very sweet. It was a nice twist on, because you hear these catfish stories all the time and you never really hear of good things that come from them, and for good reason. But I think getting his side of the story was pretty added a lot of charm to his. And again, it is a premise that I think the movie did a good job of getting you to buy that, if that makes sense. Because of just hearing that, I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. But she's charming. He ends up being charming, and I really liked the way that this ended. I thought the ending was sweet, and it had a good sense of humor to it. It really elevated the comedy and the romantic comedy. So I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I can see that. My number 5 is actually where I have Tall the Boys. Charming, sweet, great chemistry, great together. I really don't understand people that don't like this movie. And I mean, what more do you want in your high school rom-com? I don't know, but I thought it was very winning.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the latest from Harpath Road Press and best-selling author Jenny Hale, The Golden Hour. After the loss of her single father, Josie Wills is forced to give up her dreams and return home to take care of her autistic teenage brother, Nick. But she doesn't just leave her dreams behind, she also has to leave her real first love, Julian Russell. The Golden Hour is a powerful, heartwarming story that will have you believing in the power of love and the perfect accompaniment to your summer vacation plans. You can pick up The Golden Hour wherever you purchase your books or using the affiliate link below. Find out more about Jenny Hale and all the books from Harpath Road Press at harpathroad.com. That's harpathroad.com.
What do you have next?
My next one, man, I'm starting to rethink this. I'm starting to say my 5 is maybe my 4, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it because I just rewatched it. It set it up with
that's my 4 as well.
Zoe and Glenn and all these just spectacular Kay Diggs and Lucy.
This is going to be. I think this might be the most attractive cast in history, in rom-com history. Oh my gosh! Like
the bosses,
everybody
both
here
of them,
is
like
so beautiful.
Yeah. And they try to make Harper like this weird geeky girl, and I'm like, she's really attractive. Like you're struggling making her.
Oh my gosh! And Lucy Liu.
You're struggling making her, and Glenn Powell, he's walking around in a suit throughout this entire movie, but they're really struggling making her this like unattractive person because she's beautiful. Like they're all really. But I really love this idea of you're going to set up your bosses, you're going to make them fall in love, and then of course they're going to fall in love, and the humor was funny. I thought even that scene during the credits was funny when the guys watched them on the security cam hug. I'm like,
And I like what it has to say,
Charming
kind of
film.
about work and ambition, and
Yes.
it's
Yes.
just it's a good script. It's a real good
It's a
script.
great script.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Who the writer is? I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, and I also just I think it's a very well paced movie. Like when I rewatched it, because this
Oh
was
my
the one I had
gosh,
to rewatch, so well paced.
the writer Katie Silberman is her name. She did Booksmart, and she did Isn't It Romantic? So she's like
Really?
amazing.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
We need to have her on the podcast. I'm gonna call. I'm gonna find out
Okay.
because she's
Okay.
awesome. She's a good writer. I love
Yeah.
all three of those. So I have set it up next for 4. 3 is where I have Hitman.
Okay. Nice. Now,
Mhm.
I'll tell you, Rachel, I added Hitman because I didn't have it when I sent you my initial list, but I have it
Mhm.
too, and I'll go ahead and tell you it's my number one on this list.
Yeah.
It's my number
I
one.
mean, I think I need it to sit with me a little bit longer, but it could be number 1.
Yeah.
It is so well made. I mean, it really might be one of Linklater's best as far as just the craft on
In a
display here.
while.
It
Yes,
is
for sure.
it is so well made. It is like I think perfectly edited. Just
Hmm.
there's not a wasted scene, which is so refreshing.
Yes,
And I'm just
absolutely.
grateful that I was able to see it at Sundance because this movie, it's just a crime that people aren't gonna be able to see it on the big screen. It
Yeah.
it's just sad. It's so sexy. It's so much fun. And my biggest thing coming into it was thinking, is Glenn Powell going to be believable as a nerd? Because he's
Sure.
so handsome. He's like the most
Sure.
handsome human being. And and he does. It works.
He
I
does.
believe him.
Uh-huh.
I mean, yeah, it's great.
I loved it. I love all the characters. I
Yeah,
love the quirkiness. And
yeah.
I've seen some people complain about
Huge
the
chemistry.
I've seen some people complain about the end where we end up with our characters
Oh,
and the fact that
really?
it does what it does and it makes the decision. And I'm like, but
What
I
else
kind
could
of
they
like
do?
that. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Like the
yeah,
story trajectory led us to this, and it makes all the sense. And
yeah.
honestly, if they wouldn't have done it, I would have kind of questioned it. But I really, and then it takes what we're doing in the beginning, and some people aren't going to like that he's not as doing all the characters throughout the entire movie. But then it throws this twist at us, and I'm like, oh snap. Like
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
we're doing here. So that was great. I love the
Yeah.
twist. I think I have it at number one right now. I was locked
It's
in the
it's
entire
so good.
time.
It's so
It's
good.
great. Yes.
Well, what do you have at 3?
So my next movie is, let's see, so I had Hitman at one, and so my four, I guess, would be a movie called The Half of It. Have you seen this one?
Oh, I haven't seen that. No.
This was very sweet. So it's another high school drama, another high school relationship. But this guy he thinks he's fallen for this girl, and so he hires this character named Ellie to try to impress this girl, but then Ellie is putting her all into these sweet messages that she's writing for this guy. Ellie starts to fall for this
Oh.
girl. And
Oh.
so Ellie,
Oh,
these
that sounds
notes that she's
cute.
writing and everything that she's doing is all meant for her, but obviously coming from him. So they're both in love with her, but they're working
Uh-huh.
together.
Oh, that's
It's
cute.
a it's a
I have to
very
see
sweet
this.
film.
That sounds really
It's
good.
Leah Lewis is really, 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 really good. I think she's
Oh,
one of the voices in Elemental, and she's a very, very good lead in this film. And I loved
oh.
the story, and I loved
When
the
is
ending.
that? When was that made?
That was, let me see here. It was, I want to say pandemic.
Oh, 2020.
2020.
Oh man, I
2020.
missed that one. Oh,
Very sweet.
well, my number 2 is always be my maybe. I absolutely
Hmm.
love this movie. I love the every beat of it. I love the story, friends to lovers. I
Yeah.
love Keanu Reeves, hilarious. I love the ending where it's like, I would love nothing more than to hold your purse. Like that's just so swoony. And
Yes.
I think like they're like also approachable leads, like and charming together. And I just I love it. I think it's so good.
It's so funny. And I hate that this movie is constantly referred to as, oh, that one that Keanu Reeves is in. While that
Yeah,
moment is, I mean, it's the highlight of the film,
it's
don't get
very
me wrong. It's
funny.
a great moment. This is a star-studded cast. I mean, it
Yeah.
kind of made me fall in love with Randall Park as
Yeah.
a guy who could just be
I
really
just
quirky and
love that
charming and
ending.
wonderful.
Can I hold your purse
Yes.
for you? Like, oh,
Yes.
so
It was
sweet.
awesome. And Ali Wong is amazing.
Yeah.
She's amazing as our lead. And so yeah, that is my number. Well, actually, to all the boys, we've already talked about that, is
Yeah.
my three. I think that's a perfect example of a high school
Yeah.
relationship, but Always Be My Maybe is my two. And it sticks out for a variety of reasons, the Keanu Reeves moment especially, but I think it's just got such a great sense of humor. And that's what I loved about this film.
Yeah.
The comedic timing, the chemistry between the two, the fact
Yeah.
that they're not afraid to maybe occasionally go off script and riff with each other, and you just buy it. It's like, I
Yeah.
want to know these people. I want to hang out with these people. And when you feel that way about a romantic comedy, that's when you know it's got you. And so that is clearly my number two. Like, I would maybe put that ahead of the rest of the pack, right up there with Hitman. It's a
Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful film.
Yeah. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
My number one is one I don't think you've seen and that kind
No.
of flew under the radar, but I love it so much. It's called Single All the Way.
I need to see this.
And I love this movie.
Okay.
And, for a long time, the only LGBTQ story that we would get, the only queer story we would get would be coming out stories, which totally valid. We need to tell
Sure.
those stories. But what was, I guess, just really refreshing for me about this movie is that this is like such a loving family that is just so excited for this relationship and for their son slash, brother, that there's never a sense of like, we can't accept you. And maybe some people say, oh, that's not realistic. I don't feel like that's true. I mean, my sister's gay,
Absolutely.
and if she said that she was getting married, we would all be thrilled. And I
You'd
come
be
from
tickled,
a very
yeah.
traditional background. Like we would all be so happy that she's happy. And
Yes.
and so this was just so, I just loved this movie so much. I love the family. Jennifer Coolidge. Oh my gosh, Barry
Oh,
Bostwick as
no
the
way.
dad.
No
Yes.
way.
Yes. And uh
I love Coolidge.
and Michael Urie plays the lead, and he's just so endearing and like has this little bit of manic. Like you can tell that he's like maybe a bit of a lot, but like
Okay.
the love interest, his name is Philemon Chambers. His first acting role. I can't believe it. He's so good.
Wow.
Yeah. And they do Friends to Lovers and also fake fiance. So, love those. And then Luke
Okay.
McFarlane plays like the other guy, and he's great and charming, of
Huh.
course, so good. And
Stacked
I just
cast.
feel, and Jennifer Robinson is in this, and she's really good as a sister. I just love this movie so much. And the ending, when they announce that they're together and that they're going to move back home, and it's just, and everybody's so happy. It just makes me cry every time. And I'm just like, yay for love. and I don't know. I just think it's a special film, and it's got everything that I could ever want in a Christmas movie. It is funny, and I just feel like more people should watch it.
Yeah, I love when LGBTQ, I like when those are in movies, and obviously the fear of coming out, all that, those are important stories to tell. But I like when those are treated like a normal relationship. Like it's just like, we're not freaking out about it. It's a loving family. And I like when movies are able to convey that. And so that, yeah, I can't believe, what year did this come out, Rachel? I can't believe I didn't.
2021. 2021.
Huh,
Yeah.
interesting.
And
Jennifer Coolidge.
it's
I gotta watch this.
she's great. She's so good in it. Jennifer Coolidge plays the aunt, and it's Kathy
Okay.
Najimy who plays the mom.
Okay.
But they're
Okay.
both wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And
I love her so much.
yeah, and they it's just a great cast, and I just love it.
I gotta
So,
watch it. I gotta watch it. Yeah, you've sold me.
yeah. Yes.
You've sold me. That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you also forced me to rewatch two of these two because I'm like, I gotta get. But I'm glad I did, and I'm glad we did this, Rachel, because everybody has Netflix. That's what it feels like. Not everybody, but everybody has Netflix, and we're always looking for something that's allows us to feel an emotional connection to characters. And I think when the romantic comedy genre is done right, I think it's the best one for that. I really do. And these movies, a lot of them are the ones that I will put on more often than something that takes a little bit more effort, a little bit more like, I got to really be locked in for this film. No, these are ones you can put on. You can feel the charm. You can feel the emotion. You can get a laugh. And that's why I've rewatched Always Be My Maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
4 times.
And sometimes you just need a dose of hope. You want to believe that there are wonderful, loving families like you see in Single All the Way. You want to believe that the good endings happen. You want to believe that there's happiness out there. And so that's what it makes these movies so great and so endearing when they're done right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Well, very good. This was a lot of fun. Oh, I did ask on Twitter what people's favorites were, and I got a bunch of responses. So I have every rom-com says Alex Strangelove, Always Be My Maybe, To All the Boys, and Purple Hearts might get there on rewatch, which I think that's one's sad. I don't think that one's rom-com.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. I haven't seen it. Michelle Benson says The Half of It, Someone Great, Alex Strangelove, and Set It Up. Betsy Gorham says Set It Up. Bren says Along for the Ride, All the Bright Places, The F List.
I haven't seen those.
I haven't seen them. And then Seth Rogen, The Half of It. So we got a lot of Half of It fans.
Yeah, a lot of Half of It. So I'm telling you, it's a great movie. It's a great movie.
Natasha Alvar has Set It Up. William Bibiani, great, says The Princess Switch, Always Be My Maybe, The Princess Switch Switched Again, Pee-wee's Big Holiday, and Love and Leashes, which I had never heard of. I guess that's a Korean film. So there we go. That's what they have to say. So let us know what your picks are. And I'll probably post that worst of section as its own video. So if y'all watching that, then leave your comments. And if you're watching the best of, leave your comments and make sure you check out both parts. And Austin, it's always a great time. Whenever I happen to catch you at a free moment, I'm like, schedule me in, because I just love talking to you so much. And how do people find you and follow you and all the stuff you do?
Yeah, you can all find me on YouTube, Austin Burke. I'm watching everything I can on Netflix and reviewing TV shows and of course talking movies. I'm on Letterboxd. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at The Burkinator. And speaking of the podcast game, just launched, myself and a guy by the name of Ryan Snelling, who used to do the Schmoes Know After Show. We launched a podcast called Movie Mode, which you can find on all podcasting platforms. And we have a YouTube channel. So if you guys are interested to add us into your probably already stacked rotation of movie podcasts, please go check us out. Give us a rating, all those beautiful things. But Rachel, I'm going to have you on Movie Mode one of these days if you get some free time.
If you're going to do a Christmas in July episode, you can totally talk Single All the Way.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I like that. Yeah, we're going to have you on 100%. So if you want to hear more Rachel, come over to Movie Mode because she'll be there eventually.
Yes. Very good. Very good. Well, you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. It only takes a second. So please, 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 if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have the Patreon group, which is the biggest way you can support us, and the merch store. You can get all kinds of fun rom-com, including I Love Rom-Com shirts. So check that out. And, and thanks again. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.